Have you ever felt exhausted at the end of the day, even though you accomplished almost nothing? Have you ever promised yourself that tomorrow would be different, only to wake up and repeat the same habits again? Most people believe they are trapped by their circumstances. They blame their lack of money, lack of opportunities, bad luck, or the people around them. But what if the thing holding you back isn't outside of you at all? What if the prison you live in has no walls, no chains, and no guards? What if the prison exists only in your mind? This is the story of a young man who spent years trying to escape a cage he couldn't see. Ethan was 24 years old and lived in a small town where life moved slowly. From the outside, there was nothing unusual about him. He had a steady job, a small apartment, and enough money to survive. To most people, he looked like an ordinary young man living an ordinary life. But deep inside, Ethan carried a feeling that never seemed to leave him. It followed him everywhere he went. It sat beside him when he woke up in the morning and lay beside him when he went to sleep at night. It was the painful feeling that he was wasting his life. When Ethan was younger, he used to dream about the future with excitement. He imagined becoming successful, building something meaningful, and making his family proud. He believed he would grow into a strong and confident man. Back then, the future felt full of possibilities. But as the years passed, something slowly changed. His dreams didn't disappear overnight. They faded little by little. Every time he delayed an important task, every time he ignored an opportunity, and every time he chose comfort over growth, a small piece of those dreams disappeared. One of Ethan's biggest problems was that he always believed there would be more time. Whenever he wanted to start exercising, he told himself he would begin next week. Whenever he wanted to learn something new, he promised himself he would start after things became less busy. Whenever he thought about chasing his goals, he convinced himself that tomorrow would be the perfect day to begin. At first, these delays felt harmless. One day didn't seem important. Neither did 1 week. But weeks became months and months became years. Before Ethan realized it, he had spent a large part of his life waiting for the perfect moment that never arrived. Every morning began the same way. He would wake up filled with plans and ideas. While lying in bed, he imagined how productive his day would be. He pictured himself working hard, improving himself, and finally taking control of his life. For a few moments, those thoughts made him feel hopeful. But as the day continued, that hope slowly disappeared. Distractions took over. Small tasks became excuses. Hours slipped away. By evening, he found himself exactly where he had started. The hardest part wasn't failure. The hardest part was watching himself repeat the same cycle over and over again. Ethan knew what he needed to do. He had watched motivational videos. He had read articles about discipline. He understood the importance of hard work. The problem wasn't knowledge. The problem was action. Every day he stood at the edge of change, yet something invisible kept pulling him backward. As time passed, the gap between the life he wanted and the life he was living became larger. He watched old friends move forward. Some started businesses. Some built successful careers. Others discovered passions that gave their lives meaning. Whenever Ethan saw their progress, he felt a mixture of admiration and sadness. He wasn't jealous of them. What hurt was knowing that he had once believed he could do great things too. The difference was that they had taken action while he had continued waiting. One evening, after spending another day doing things that didn't matter, Ethan sat alone in his apartment. The room was quiet except for the faint sound of traffic outside. His phone lay on the table beside him, filled with notifications, videos, and distractions that had stolen countless hours of his life. As he stared at the ceiling, a frightening thought entered his mind. What if nothing changes? The question felt like a punch to the chest. What if 5 years passed exactly like this? What if 10 years disappeared? What if he woke up one day as an old man and realized he had spent his entire life waiting instead of living? For the first time, Ethan wasn't afraid of failure. He was afraid of remaining the same. Unable to sit with those thoughts any longer, he left his apartment and began walking through the town. The streets were quiet as the sun slowly disappeared behind the horizon. The sky glowed with shades of orange and gold before gradually fading into darkness. Ethan had no destination in mind. He simply wanted to escape the noise inside his head. As he wandered farther than usual, he eventually arrived at an old park he hadn't visited in years. The place felt peaceful. Tall trees swayed gently in the evening breeze, and the sounds of the town seemed distant. Most of the benches were empty. Near the center of the park stood a large tree, and beneath it sat an old man on a wooden bench. There was something unusual about him. He wasn't reading a book or looking at a phone. He simply sat there watching the sunset as if he had nowhere else to be. His face showed signs of age, but there was a calmness in his expression that immediately caught Ethan's attention. It was the kind of peace Ethan had been searching for his entire life. Without fully understanding why, Ethan walked over and sat on a nearby bench. For several minutes, neither of them spoke. The silence felt strangely comfortable. Eventually, the old man turned toward him and smiled. "You seem troubled," he said. Ethan let out a tired laugh. "Is it that obvious?" The old man nodded. People who carry heavy thoughts often wear them on their faces. For some reason, Ethan found himself opening up. He spoke about the frustration he felt, the goals he kept postponing, and the years that seemed to be slipping away. He spoke about his fear of wasting his potential and his inability to change despite wanting to. The old man listened carefully without interrupting. When Ethan finally finished, the man remained silent for a moment before asking a question. "Tell me, who is stopping you?" Ethan frowned. "What do you mean? Who is stopping you from becoming the person you want to become?" At first, Ethan searched for an answer. He thought about his job, his circumstances, and the challenges in his life. But the more he thought, the harder it became to blame any of them. "No one," he finally admitted. The old man nodded slowly. "Then why do you believe you're trapped?" The question lingered in the air. Before Ethan could answer, the old man reached down beside the bench and picked up a small glass jar. Inside the jar was a tiny insect. Ethan watched as the insect repeatedly flew upward, striking the lid at the top. Again and again it tried to escape, and again it failed. The old man quietly removed the lid. The jar was now completely open. The insect was free. Yet something strange happened. Instead of flying away, it continued moving within the same invisible boundary. It never rose above the height where the lid had once been. It behaved as though the prison still existed. Ethan stared at the jar in confusion. "If it's free, why doesn't it leave?" he asked. The old man's eyes remained fixed on the insect. "Because it has failed so many times that it now believes freedom is impossible." Ethan felt a chill run through him. The old man continued, his voice calm and steady. "Many people spend their entire lives exactly like that insect. They fail a few times. They face rejection. They hear criticism. They make mistakes. Slowly they begin building limits inside their minds. Those limits become stronger than reality itself. Even when opportunities appear, they refuse to move beyond the boundaries they have accepted." For a long moment, Ethan couldn't look away from the jar. The insect wasn't trapped anymore, yet it continued acting as if it was. Suddenly he saw something that made his chest tighten. He wasn't looking at the insect. He was looking at himself. As Ethan stared at the insect moving inside the open jar, he felt as if someone had placed a mirror in front of him. For years, he had believed that his circumstances were holding him back. He blamed a lack of motivation, a lack of opportunities, and even bad luck. But the tiny insect in front of him revealed a truth he had spent years avoiding. The prison that controlled his life wasn't around him. It was inside him. Every failure from his past had become an invisible wall. Every disappointment had become a limit. Every excuse had become another bar in a cage that existed only in his mind. The old man noticed the change in Ethan's expression and smiled gently. He explained that most people never realize they are trapped because their prison feels normal. They become so used to listening to fear that they mistake it for wisdom. They become so comfortable with excuses that excuses begin to sound reasonable. Over time they stop testing their limits. They stop taking risks. They stop believing they can change. The saddest part is that they often spend years waiting for someone to rescue them, not realizing that the door has been open all along. Those words stayed with Ethan as he walked home that evening. For the first time in a very long time, he wasn't thinking about what other people were doing with their lives. He wasn't comparing himself to friends or worrying about the future. Instead, he was thinking about himself. More specifically, he was thinking about the countless moments when he had chosen comfort over growth. He remembered all the times he delayed important tasks, all the promises he had broken, and all the dreams he had abandoned before giving them a real chance. The truth was painful, but it was also freeing. If he had helped create this prison, then maybe he could also destroy it. The next morning, nothing magical happened. Ethan didn't wake up overflowing with motivation. He didn't suddenly become fearless or disciplined. In fact, the same voice that had controlled him for years was still there. It told him to stay in bed a little longer. It told him there was no rush. It told him that starting tomorrow would be easier. But this time Ethan saw the voice for what it really was. It wasn't truth. It wasn't wisdom. It was simply a habit. And for the first time he chose not to obey it. Instead of trying to change his entire life in one day, Ethan focused on one small action. He went for a short walk. The action itself was simple, almost insignificant, but the feeling it created was powerful. For years he had built confidence through imagination alone. Now he was building confidence through action. That small walk became the first promise he had kept to himself in a long time, and it gave him something he hadn't felt in years: belief. Over the following weeks, Ethan continued taking small steps forward. Some days were productive while others were difficult. There were moments when he wanted to return to his old habits, and there were days when progress felt painfully slow. But he no longer expected instant transformation. He understood that real change happens the same way a tree grows. You don't see it happening every day, yet with enough time and consistency, the growth becomes impossible to ignore. Each small action strengthened a new identity inside him. He stopped seeing himself as someone who always quit and started seeing himself as someone who could keep going. Months passed and the results slowly began to appear. Ethan felt more confident, not because life had become easier, but because he trusted himself more. Every promise he kept strengthened that trust. Every difficult task he completed weakened the invisible walls that had trapped him for years. The prison wasn't destroyed in a single moment. It disappeared one decision at a time. Each choice to act instead of delay removed another brick from the cage he had built around himself. One evening, nearly a year after meeting the old man, Ethan returned to the same park. The bench was still there, the trees still swayed in the breeze, and the sunset painted the sky just as beautifully as before. But the old man was nowhere to be found. Ethan searched for a while and then smiled. He realized he no longer needed him. The lesson had already changed his life. As he sat beneath the tree, Ethan thought about the insect in the jar. For years, he had believed that freedom was something he needed to find somewhere in the future. Now he understood that freedom begins the moment you stop believing the lies that fear tells you. It begins when you stop waiting for perfect conditions and start taking action despite uncertainty. It begins when you realize that the voice saying "you can't" is often nothing more than an old memory pretending to be reality. The truth is that many people spend their entire lives trapped inside prisons they cannot see. They are held back by fear, doubt, excuses, and stories they keep telling themselves. They wait for confidence before acting, not realizing that confidence comes after action. They wait for the perfect time, not realizing that the perfect time never arrives. And while they wait, years quietly pass by. If there is one lesson in Ethan's story, it is this: the strongest prisons are not built from steel or stone. They are built from beliefs. The moment you challenge those beliefs, the prison begins to crack. The moment you take responsibility for your choices, the door begins to open. And the moment you stop letting fear decide your future, you discover something extraordinary. The prison you live in has no walls. The lock was never real. The door was never closed. The only thing standing between you and freedom is the decision to walk through it. If this story touched you, like, share, and subscribe for more stories.